Renting a house in Costa Rica is a dream come true for a lot of people. However, that dream can quickly become a nightmare by making one simple mistake.
Welcome to another beautiful day in Costa Rica.
Absolutely. It's another great day. And today, boy, do we have some good stuff for you. Today, we are talking about renting a house in Costa Rica and giving you some great tips, especially what you need to do or not do to avoid the Gringo Price. Now, make sure to stay to the end so that you can find out about all of that. However, we did do a great YouTube live just a few days ago, jam-packed full of tips, lots of details, lots of stories that talk all about rental in Costa Rica. However, in a live, we can't insert the videos and insert the pictures so that you get that, feel like it's a real experience like we do in our videos. It is a little bit long, but check out this amazing comment from someone who watched that video. She said, when I first saw that this video was an hour and 28 minutes, I thought, OMG, can I make time for it? Well, I came back almost a day later and it was well worth every minute. Thanks for telling it like it is. So you're going to get the good, the bad, and the ugly in that YouTube live. However, you're going to find out and learn some amazing stuff.
Right. However, today, like Alan said, we're just going to recap, and remember, it is from our perspective, it's from our experiences, and
we're going to just try to keep this short, and we're going to hit the highlights. But if you want to know the details and find out all of the facts, you can do that in the YouTube live right there. When we came over here, we didn't have someone like us to share with us. We didn't do the research, but boy, do I wish I did. And so you can learn a lot of stuff from our video. But we've had a lot of people ask, is there someone that can help me? And you know what? That's one of the reasons that we created the forum. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just hire someone to find a rental for you? Wouldn't it be nice to hire someone that can maybe hold your hand or walk you through it, because it can be overwhelming when it comes time to move to Costa Rica. You don't want to forget this, you want to do that. Well, that's why we created the forum. Inside the forum, you can connect with the right people who provide that service for you. Find a rental, help walk you through moving everything here. So you want to be sure to join the forum, and you can go to forum.cloudforestchapel.com so that you can connect with the right people. There we have recommended businesses, places to stay, things that's going to save you time and money when you come to Costa Rica. Also, this will be a great time that if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We have tons of amazing comments on how helpful and all of the great things people are learning from here. So subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified of the next video when it goes live. So are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
Let's get started. Darn bugs! He was biting me.
I saw it.
One of the big questions we get is, what is the best time of the year to find a rental?
Yeah, well, it would be during rainy season, because that is what they call the off season. There are not as many tourists here during rainy season, so there's a lot more houses available for rent. Whereas during the high season, the touristy season, a lot of houses are being rented to vacationers.
That's right. And so a lot of people use Airbnb. We've used it a whole lot. And so during the tourist season, well, obviously they can make a whole lot of money by renting them day by day. But as soon as the rainy season gets here, which is normally around what?
The rainy season is from like May to November.
May to about November. The rainy season is finally beginning to end here. But during the rainy season, well, there's not nearly as much renting going on because there's hardly any tourists. And so you can really get some great deals during the rainy season. When you do come to Costa Rica, it is a little bit of a trip. And for us, most of the time when we come, it never fails. We end up arriving late at night. And when we first came, we thought, well, hey, we're just going to drive there. Don't make that mistake. We highly recommend when you fly in, just stay the night at an Airbnb. Once again, we got recommendations on where you can stay at inside the forum. But stay there, get a good night's rest, and then you can get up the next day and get started on your search. You can drive down to wherever it is that you're looking for a place to rent. let's say that you're going to be renting over in the Paris Zeledon area, or maybe you're over on the beach. Whatever you do, hey, take time to look on Airbnb. We highly recommend that because you can see the reviews. You can see what kind of renters they are, what kind of people they are.
That's right. So Airbnb is very useful.
Whenever you come here, you get an Airbnb, and that's going to be where your rental search begins. Because once you rent a spot, hey, you might be there 2 or 3 days, maybe a week, then you can talk to them and say, hey, do you know of any places for rent? And if they don't know, they can point you in the right direction. And so that's where you want to get started. You're there, and then, hey, go into town, because a lot of places are just not listed on websites. Now, we're going to share some amazing resources, things that we have found, and you can have access to simply by going to the description below this video, and you can download the PDF so you can get all of our resources. All of our PDFs are inside the forum as well. Now, once you get started, you want to actually walk around the town, drive around the town, go into some of the local stores. Whenever you stop to eat at a restaurant, into some of the local bars and restaurants, ask them, do you know of places or someone that has a house for rent? And that's the easiest way to begin finding something. As you drive around, you're actually looking for a rental sign that says
Alquiler.
Alquiler, I think is it. I butcher it up every single time, but I'm trying, okay?
Alquiler.
Write this down, because this is going to be your best tip for finding a rental. Almost every community has what's called a feria. And the feria is just a local farmer's market. They almost always happen at least once a week. And find out what the feria is. Plan to get there early and stay late. If you go there, you can talk to people and you can ask them, hey, do you know of anybody that has a place for rent? And don't ask them any prices, okay? Ask them just, where's a place to rent? Do you know of any place? Okay, just get contacts and phone numbers. If you do that, you almost guaranteed to find a place to rent by just hanging out at the feria. Because at the feria, you're going to find lots of gringos, lots of ticos, and you'll be able to find something for sure. The next thing that you need to do is that, a lot of people, when you first get here, like us, we were looking for a furnished rental. You can find them. They're a little bit more difficult to find in some of the remote areas, but you can find them, okay? Obviously, gonna be a little bit more expensive, but well worth it, because when you get here, if you're like us, we just came with our suitcases, and we didn't have anything, so it was nice to be in a furnished place, for a month, and then we found what we were looking for, and we moved into it, and we bought some blow-up mattresses, blow-up sofas that we sat on until we decided, okay, we like this place, and then we could buy what we needed to buy.
Right, and that's why Airbnb is such a, Airbnb.com is such a good resource, because almost all the houses listed there are furnished, because they're putting them on there for vacationers. People need to have everything available when they're coming on vacation.
That's right. And Airbnb, make sure that you download the app onto your phone or your tablet, but you can go to Airbnb.com. And I looked today, and when I was looking, there was over 300 places. Anything from $11 to $300 or $400 a night. So you can find some phenomenal places. And if you're coming here just to look, you can rent just a room instead of the whole house if you're comfortable with that, because you're not going to spend time in there. You're out looking for a place to rent.
Right, and if they don't mention a weekly rate or an extended stay rate and you're wanting to stay for a month, don't hesitate to ask about it. Ask if they will give you a rate.
That's right. See, you can schedule to rent for them for, a couple of days. After you get here and you find out, okay, well, this is not a bad Airbnb, talk to them, say, hey, can I extend my stay and stay for a week?
Right, that's a good point, Alan, because maybe you don't want to arrange to stay for an entire month at a particular place until you've come and stayed in it for a little while, and then talk to them about.
That's right, because I have stayed in some Airbnbs and I rented just the room. Well, this poor old guy was a bachelor, a single guy, and he couldn't hear that well, so he was on his computer a whole lot, and every time he turned around, I heard ding, ding, ding as these messages were coming in, and so that was a nightmare. I wouldn't have wanted to stay there more than one night. Right. So it's good to come down here, stay a night, find out, then you can decide if you want an extended stay.
Right.
Now, whenever you're looking for a place and you're driving around, the thing that you want to keep in mind, because if you're like us, you probably have to have internet. And so a quick way to find out if that area does have internet is to look at the light poles. If you look at the electric lines, you're going to see these little boxes right here. And these boxes are a great indicator that there's internet there. Now, it doesn't mean you will have it because it might be full, but most of the time you will have access. Now, just because they don't have the little internet box on the pole doesn't mean you can't get internet, because there are several different forms of internet. Download the resources, which will show you the different places that you can get internet from and who we think is the best if you can find it in that area. As you're walking around or driving around and you say, okay, well, this looks like a promising place, and you see that for rent sign and there is a phone number, very, very important tip, write this down, write it on your forehead so you don't forget. I don't care how good your Spanish is, whatever you do, no matter how tempting it is, do not call that number yourself and ask them how much is the rent. Because they know that's a gringo on the other end. They can tell you don't have the Tico accent and you're going to pay too much.
Right. And of course, we're not talking about things that are listed on the internet, you know, in Airbnb or some other resource that you have found a rental from. We're talking about those situations that we've been in where we just come across a house by talking to someone or driving past and seeing a for rent sign and calling the phone number.
That's right. So you want to make sure that you know, that's why you want to rent an Airbnb or find a Tico friend and say, hey, you get back to Airbnb, would you call these numbers for me right here? And please tell them that you're interested in it. Don't tell them your gringo friend is interested in this, because you'll get the same gringo price. Ask them, would you please call them? Pretend you're interested in it. What is the price for the rent on this? Also, while you're looking for rentals, a lot of times you're gonna find houses for sale. Now, most of the houses for sale, the people are still living there, but we've seen lots of houses for sale. It's empty. It doesn't hurt. We've called them and say, hey, are you interested in renting your house? And that's how we have found some of our best rentals.
That's right, one of our favorite rentals. The owners were painting on the outside, getting it ready for sale. And we just asked, can we rent it until you find a buyer? And they were happy to
That's
oblige.
right. And we rented a nice place at a very great price. So don't be afraid to ask, okay? Now, let's say that you have had your Tico friend to call and you like the price, and now you've set up a time to meet. Well, obviously you get out there to meet them. Don't be surprised when they show up late. It's Tico time. It's not going to change. So we just want to let you know, get used to it in Costa Rica. Everything runs late. Everything takes longer than you expect. It's called Tico time. You arrive and you meet the owner and you're going to check out the house. What's the first thing you need to do when you check out the house? Well, obviously the very first thing to do is to go inside the house. If it looks good, you think it's acceptable, look for the breaker box, okay? You want to look at the breaker box because a lot of the houses, depending on the age of it, even if it's new, doesn't have a lot of breakers in it, okay? Most Ticos don't have computers, maybe a couple of monitors. A lot of Ticos don't have a toaster oven and microwave. They don't have the curling iron and the flat iron. They're not using all the accessories that you're using. So those are things to keep in mind. Look at the breaker box to see, is there more than 2 breakers in there? Because we have many times, we rented a house, it only had a couple of breakers, didn't know that tip at the time, plugged in all my computers, and then everything went. So you want to look at that, okay?
Yes. Also, if you're planning to, if the house doesn't have hot water and you're planning to install what they call a suicide shower, that draws a lot of electricity. So you want to make sure about the electrical box for that purpose.
That's
to make
right.
sure that it can handle the voltage for the
suicide shower. So that's a very good point that she brought up, because after you look at that breaker box, you want to go straight to the bathroom to see, is there hot water in the bathroom? 99% of the Tico houses only have hot water in the shower and nowhere else. So you want to be sure to see that, so that if it doesn't have a hot shower head, is there a wire already there? If there's not a wire, will they install the wire?
Right. And most of the newer houses that we've stayed in, like through Airbnb, they had the hot water. But something that you need to consider if you do have to install the shower is the water pressure. So check the water pressure, because a suicide shower will not come on if the water pressure is not strong enough to keep it on.
And you're only going to have problems with the water pressure is if you're staying in a house where they get their water from one of the creeks or something like that. Because a lot of the houses, most houses get their water from the city. But there are houses that we rented that, like the one we're in now, gets their water from a creek. And so, sometimes the pressure is not really good, but most of the time it is. Something to check, okay? Now, once you've looked at the electrical box and you check to see if it does have hot water in the shower, then the next thing you need to do is probably look and see, well, where's the washer and dryer go? Because 99% of them don't have a place for a dryer, okay? Except in the big cities, obviously. And it's usually going to be outside, isn't it?
Right.
So you want to check that and see. A lot of places, they may actually surprisingly have a place to plug up your dryer, which is uncommon because it's 220. Most people don't have it. They always hang their clothes out on the line. But if it does, they may not have a vent for the dryer to blow out of. It's Costa Rica. They're not used to having dryers. Once you find a place that you really, really like, it's like, okay, I love this place. The price is right. It has hot water. It has everything I need. While this may sound unrealistic, if at all possible, you want to ask the owners if you can spend the night. Get your blow-up air mattress, spend the night, because we have rented too many places where we just rented it on site and then we spend the night, our very first night, and at 5 o'clock in the morning, the neighbor leaves and his dog goes into this anxiety attack and he starts barking for the next 2 hours. So from 5 until 7, it's woof, ruh, ruh, ruh. No more peace and tranquility for you. So it's very important that, not only are you there to wake up and see what the noise factor is going to be early in the morning, how much traffic noise is it going to be? Hey, what's the temperature at 2 o'clock? What does it feel like? So it's really great. If at all possible, find out what it's going to be like. Because too many times we've gone somewhere, it seemed perfect. It was quiet. As soon as we moved in, we were like, dang. And that's a good time. You find a place, go to the local restaurants, the local stores, ask them, hey, what do you think about this neighborhood?
Right. Because one neighborhood that we stayed in, it looked really great and peaceful, and the houses seemed to be nice. And then we went to the restaurant and talked to, made a friend and started talking to this man. And he asked where we lived. We told him. He was like, oh,
yeah,
that neighborhood has a lot of theft.
Yeah. He said, now if you'd have gone a little bit, even a kilometer north of that, it's great. But that particular area had a lot of petty theft, and that's where we was at.
Yeah, we found out the hard way that it really did.
Yeah,
we got stolen.
A propane tank was stolen like 3 different times, and I had to start chaining it down after my 3rd time. So anyway, important to know, ask around, okay? Now, let's say that you have finally decided on a rental. Yes, I like this place, and you've made arrangements with the owner. Almost always, unless you're in a popular tourist area, you're not going to have to worry about signing a contract. The very few that have asked me to sign a contract, I just told them I wasn't going to sign a contract because, I want to make sure that I like it here. If I like it, I'm probably going to stay a long time. But if I don't like it, I'm going to have to leave. And too many times I've rented a place and it wasn't like the owner said, so I had to leave. Now, there has been one place where they were adamant I had to sign a contract. So I made sure to spend enough time before agreeing to a contract. And usually if you have to agree to a contract, well, then you can get a lower price and say, okay, so it's going to cost me 200 colones a month. If I sign a contract for a year, can I get it for 175,000 colones a month? So you can always negotiate that factor, all right? Now, most of the time, you're not going to have to worry about contracts. Most of the time, you're not going to have to worry about putting any deposits down, okay? That's our experience, okay? But we've always rented in rural areas where there's not a lot of tourists, okay? So we're just sharing you from our perspective what happened with us. This next tip is extremely important and could help keep you from making a costly error that you could easily make if you didn't know this information. When you are negotiating the price of your rental, always negotiate the price in the local currency of Costa Rican colones.
While Costa Rica does accept the US dollar, you never want to pay for anything with US dollars unless you are in a business that has registers that use software to convert the US dollar at the correct current exchange rate. Then, when paying in US dollars, you'll get the correct change back in Costa Rican colones. Savvy ticos, or not so honest people, will insist or try to convince you to pay in US dollars because the US dollar has a higher value. Instead of using the correct daily exchange rate, they will usually use the convenient exchange rate of 500 colones to $1. This makes the math easy. For example, 100,000 colones would easily convert to $200. However, if you had agreed to pay the normal 100,000 colones at the current exchange rate, that same 100,000 colones would convert to only $166 and not $200. For example, the house I'm renting now is normally rented to any tico for 100,000 colones a month. But when the owner saw I was a gringo, he quickly asked me to pay $200 a month, and had I agreed, I would be overpaying every single month. To help you understand, if I pay the normal price of 100,000 colones, the owner is always getting the true asking price, and I'm not overpaying. The colones to US dollar exchange rate fluctuates daily. When we first came to Costa Rica, the 100,000 colones converted closely to $200. The colon has dropped in value, and today that same 100,000 colones is only worth $166. Imagine how much money you would overpay every month if you had made the simple mistake of agreeing to pay in US dollars.
Once you find a place and you've negotiated price and you love it, now that you've decided to rent the place, it's time to ask the landlord, what is the physical address? Because Costa Rica doesn't have 911 address system. So it's important to find out what is the physical address of that place. Typically, a physical address is going to be something like 50 meters north of the post office, White House on the left side of the road. And you might not be the only White House on the left side of the road. I think I got him. So ask the physical address so that whenever you get a pizza delivered, or whenever you go to pay your electric bill or do your banking, or you do something where they ask your address, you'll know the correct address, okay? So that's real important that you ask the physical address. Then you're going to have to pay the electric and the water in most cases, and when you do, it's almost never going to be in your name. It's going to be in the name of whoever owned that house, and they don't change it out like it does in other countries. So you want to ask, what is the account number to the electricity? What is the account number to the water? And whose name is the electric in? Whose name is the water in? Because oftentimes and many times it's been in several different names, okay? So make sure you ask that, because when you go pay that electric bill and that water bill, which you can pay at almost any little bitty small pulperia, that's a convenience store, or the bank, then they're going to ask, you're going to give them the account number, and they're going to say, and that's in such and such name. That way you can verify that you're paying that bill and not somebody else's electric bill. So it's important to get that info. It's also important to ask, hey, who's taking care of the yard? Is that your responsibility to cut the grass, or is it theirs? Is there trash pickup? Because some places don't have trash pickup, and that's important to know, because if there's not trash pickup, that means everybody is burning their trash in the yard, and that can be a stinky situation. We talk more about that in that live video you probably should watch.
Right. And if you are into recycling, you might want to ask that. Where is their recycle drop-off?
Keep in mind, no matter where you're at, it's only temporary in most cases, and sometimes we've rented a place and only stayed 30 days. We stayed a month only to find out, hey, we couldn't get internet access, or it was too noisy, whatever, and it can change in a moment. So it's only temporary. Try to stay light until you know for certain that you like it. Then you can start buying your furniture or buying pieces, a piece at a time, and that's what we did. All right. So really, I think that's pretty much everything, isn't it?
I think so.
You know,
It's a
that's-
good little recap.
That's right. That's the majority of the stuff. Now, we go into detail on that YouTube Live, so be sure to check that out. And look, put some comments down and let us know, was this helpful for you? Hey, is there something we forgot about? Put it in the comment section, and we'll be more than glad to answer your question. Hey, the best thing to do is to join the forum, because there's questions that have already been answered, and you can find those answers inside the forum so easy, instead of going from video to video to video. So we look forward to giving you some more great information next week. Remember, we try to go live, or we try to premiere a new video every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're either doing a live or we got a video that premieres live, and we're always online to answer your questions while that video is going, in at least for an hour afterwards, so that we can answer your questions as quick as you're typing them in. So until next Sunday, we look forward to talking to you, chatting with you in the forum, in the question box, and we'll see you next week with another awesome video where we're talking about living in Costa Rica.